Hi, good morning. Welcome to the Joy Business Report. Coming up, Institute for Fiscal Studies warns Ghana risks further downgrades from other rating agencies if the country continues to use about 70% of its revenue to service debt. Meanwhile, government may face complicated refinancing options in repaying treasury securities that will mature on October 22. We'll tell you more. Plus, Chamber of Independent Power Producers, Bulk Consumers and Distributors dismisses government position that the energy sector recovery program has reduced legacy debts. Details coming up. My name is Darrell Kwao. First up, the Institute for Fiscal Studies is warning that more rating agencies will further downgrade Ghana's credit rating if the country continues to service its debt with about 70% of its revenue collection. Fitch last Friday downgraded the country to junk status, a situation President Akufo-Addo has lamented is deteriorating the economic recovery plans of developing countries like Ghana. Speaking to Joy Business, a senior fellow of the IFS, Dr. Said-Boakye, warned that rating agencies will further downgrade the country if it continues to struggle to pay its debt.
Like, the business plan was analyzing, the country takes about 70% of all the revenues it collects to settle debt, debt repayment, including amortization and interest. This is just not sustainable. And, the rating agencies realized that this was not stopping and it was increasing with increased borrowing. And that's why they downgraded our credit. So about 2-3 years ago, even though there was stability, I in particular was saying it was just being artificially manipulated through continuous borrowing and there was going to be a crash. So thinking that you can get back to normal with market correction itself is not going to be easy. We have to have a very strong source of foreign exchange inflow other than borrowing.
You heard senior fellow at the IFS, Dr. Said-Boakye. Now, government may face complicated refinancing options in repaying treasury bills that will mature on October 22 this year. This is disclosure from the weekly fixed income update by Databank Research. Here's more.
The report stated that a refinancing offer on October 3rd may not get much traction due to the expected domestic debt restructuring. It therefore pointed out that the government will likely supplement any refinancing offer with the Bank of Ghana support to get more favorable refinancing options. The government is expected to offer 905 million cedis across the 91-day to 182-day bills to refinance total maturities worth 786.6 million cedis. For the first time in 15 weeks, it failed to meet its treasury sale target. Meanwhile, on the bond market, investors will maintain interest in near-term maturities in the secondary market.
Charles Nixon with that report. Now, economist Courage Mate is optimistic negotiations between the government and the International Monetary Fund for an economic program will go a long way to deal with uncertainties about the country's economic outlook. Government has started negotiating with the fund for a program, but Mr. Mate tells Joy Business government must be transparent with data to fast-track conclusion.
Transparency from the get-go is important. And they need to be forthright. And what we want to achieve is what we need to put forward as quickly as possible. And talking about transparency, you see, the more information you make available to the IMF or the fund, the right and quickly we can reach an agreement. And then we will be able to arrive at a fair, quote unquote, deal for Ghanaians. And so really, I don't think I'm concerned about transparency, but I would say that I support the call for us to see the true state of the economy. I don't have any basis to doubt the authorities that will provide the true state of the economy. At the heart of our problem is fiscal issues. And the consequence of our fiscal issues is the rising debt levels we have and the rising debt burdens we have to carry. And so if you look at the current situation we are faced with, where our total debt stock is way above the 70%, do not have access to the market. And so how are we going to service our debt without access to the market? So you shouldn't be surprised if you find that the debt and the discussions around it becomes the topical issue.
Courage Mate, an economist and head of research with IC Securities. Now, Executive Secretary of the African Tax Research Network, Logan Watt, is charging African governments to be transparent with citizens in the expenditure and revenue collected from taxes. According to Mr. Watt, the continent's low tax to gross domestic ratio, product ratio, can be attributed to some inefficiencies in using tax revenue for development of critical sectors of the economy. He believes that deepening the disclosure on tax expenditure will improve compliance and increase domestic revenue mobilization.
Good tax administration and good tax policy are important elements of these. But good spending and what governments do with taxpayer money is an important determinant of whether people are willing to pay tax. So it's also important that the quality of government spending and what people get for their tax money must be important, so that the citizens who must pay that tax and who therefore contract the government to give them a service must be able to see the hospital. They must be able to see the road or the school or the university, or they must be able to get the social service. If the government respond by providing citizens with the goods and services they need at the level at which they need it, you also get more revenue because people will become more compliant.
You had Logan Watt, who is Executive Secretary of the African Tax Research Network. Now, total pension funds of the Tier 3 pension scheme increased by 18% in 2021 to 39.6 billion cedis. That's according to the latest financial stability review by the Bank of Ghana. Also, private pension funds continued on a positive growth track in 2021. Total private pension funds grew by 27.2% last year to 28 billion cedis. The sustained growth in private pension funds, the report said, could be linked to better returns on investments and also the prosecution of defaulting Tier 2 employers. Again, investments of private pension funds were still held primarily in government securities, constituting a total of 84%. In other news, the Chamber of Independent Power Producers, Bulk Consumers and Distributors has dismissed government position that the energy sector recovery program has reduced legacy debts. According to Chief Executive Elikuli Apetogbo, the government's indebtedness to the IPPs rather stood at over $1 billion as of the end of August. He tells Joy Business the cash waterfall mechanism meant to provide fair and transparent platform for the disbursement of revenue to players in the electricity supply value chain has failed to live up to expectations.
Although we have requested for meetings a number of times to know what is happening, our requests have not received attention. We don't know what comes in and we don't know what is being disbursed. We just hope that it is not any interference from any quarters that is turning what the mechanism was meant to be into something else. To say the energy sector recovery program has reduced legacy debts is not reflective of reality, as debts to IPPs keep piling. As at the end of 31st August 2022, our receivables stood at over $1 billion.
And you had Elikuli Apetogbo there, he's CEO of the Chamber of Independent Power Producers, Bulk Consumers and Distributors. Let's check the markets for you as we wrap up this morning. The dollar going for 10 cedis, 28 pesos. It, however, gained some strength against the pound, selling at 11 cedis, 50 pesos. The euro going for 10 cedis. On the commodity market, crude oil dropped marginally to $84 a barrel. Gold went up by almost $10 to open trading at $1,632 an ounce. Cocoa is selling this morning at $2,243 a ton after losing $4 from yesterday's trading. There is more news on our website, myjoyonline.com/business. My name is Darryl Carl. Thanks for listening. The Super Morning Show continues, and Kojo Youngson is here. And I've been meaning to say this about your new phone, Kojo. I see that